You've done a TED Talk. You've invented basically your own math. You've written a
Well,
paper on.
as much as I like what you say,
I'm not wrong though, right? I mean,
he's invented his own man. He has a house he made out of cheese
I'm
and small people. It's a cheese little people house. It's the fact that he has invented his own invention. I do have a
I'm
patent.
close though. I'm close.
I have inventions. I have a patented invention that measures golden ratio, but I have not invented my own math. I have, I the math is something that exists with or without us.
Dystopia Tonight. Dystopia Tonight.
Hey, but not too far. Get me out in a real nice car, like clowns emerging from the tent. You can pay my dues if you pay my rent. Yo,
what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm great and grateful, well read and ready.
Awesome.
Dressed and blessed. How about you, John?
I'm doing good, man. I'm super fucking pumped to get to talk to you and have you on and stuff. And today's been going good, so I'm just excited all around.
Super fucking pumped was the name of the place where I used to get my coffee.
Anything special they do there for you?
Yeah, they do the super fucking pump actually, which
nice.
is I don't recommend more than 2.
So I gotta ask you, because I love the fact that this is you have done so much, but you started out in stand-up, and that's always my favorite thing, because I feel like comedians are never just pigeonholed as one thing. They're never just comics. They've always got something else going on and something else working on. But you started out in stand-up in where did you start out? Were you starting out in LA?
Well, if you really say start, I did stand up when I was 9 years old at Camp Kiwanee in La Plume, Pennsylvania.
Oh my God.
The talent show I did. And then in a more professional realm, when I was in Chicago studying at the Goodman Theater, which was one of the best experiences I've ever had, I started working in clubs. They didn't even have comedy clubs at that time. There were folk clubs. The Earl of Old Town, a place called Ratso's. John Prime was playing in those days. Stevie Goodman, the Earl of Old Town. And and that's where I really started doing stand-up.
Do you remember one of your jokes when you were 9?
When I was 9?
Yeah.
There was a guy named Tommy Levine, but he looked kind of Japanese, and I had him say, "I have a yen for a hot dog."
That's amazing. I saw I've seen your stand-up before and stuff like that, and it's a lot of I feel like it's very experimental. You know what I mean? Like, it's not your typical, like, I feel like for around the guys that came up around that time, it's not, set up punchline stuff. Seems very loose, very improvisational. Was that something that you had to grow into, or something that you felt you came naturally to?
That's a great question. It's always the direction that I wanted to go. Because for anything I've done, I be inspired, but I would not necessarily want to go down that same path.
Right.
I would say my major inspirations were Groucho Marx, the younger Groucho. There's the way he added the line, and Jonathan Winters.
Right, I could see a little bit of that. Yeah.
Yeah, those two guys kind of shaped a little bit of my surreal notion, but I've always had that desire to kind of move down another path, kind of a Thoreau thing, but not Thoreau too far.
Who were the guys that you were like coming up with? Like, because everybody's got their comedy class and stuff. So like, were there comics that you remember that you were close to, that you're still close to?
Oh, at the same time, Richard Lewis. I mean, Jay Leno was in that same era when I first came out here.
That's was there a lot of because I know that like back then you said that like the comedy clubs weren't necessarily where you, like, there wasn't a lot of them at the time, but were you doing a lot of the road work and stuff like that? And how did your kind of loose kind of an act, because there wasn't a lot of people that were doing that kind of stuff, was it easier for you to go out onto the road, or were they or was it difficult for you to do that kind of stuff?
No, I don't think the act didn't matter that much as long as you got the laughs.
Right.
You know, I went out on the road and did that, and then here in town, there were some nights where I would do 4 different places. I'd do, you know, the Improv on Melrose, and the Comedy Store in Westwood, and then the Comedy Store on Sunset, and then some other place out in the Valley for some weird night.
What was the place in the Valley?
Luke's. It wasn't
okay.
a regular club. It was like some place that was having a comedy night.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, one of the ones that popped up. When did you incorporate voices into your? Was it early on into your act that you started to experiment?
Oh, yeah, it was always from the beginning, because that was like one day I could do voices. I have a theory about that as well. Because and I would create situations that would allow me to do them. Now, when you know, when you're on stage, you can do a lot of different characters.
Yeah.
Because I always like, you know, people that did characters like Richard Pryor.
Right.
Richard Pryor, you know, or Lily Tomlin, or people that did characterizations, and because I stayed at the Goodman Theater, my approach was somewhat theatrical, and I wanted to incorporate things that I learned there, just using the stage, you know, not just being played in one place, but, you know, moving around and, you know, walking essentially.
Was it sort of like, did you use it as a gateway into acting, or was stand-up kind of all you had in mind in the very beginning, and then acting kind of stumbled?
No, I definitely foresaw or foreseen or foretook. I want to utilize that as a gateway rug.
Yeah.
To slide under the door. And I think the first thing I got was a movie that we called Hawkins. I think Jimmy Stewart was in it anyway. But and that Roger Rabbit is because Zemeckis saw me at the Comedy Store doing my stand-up.
Wow.
So, and that is kind of a tried and true method for people to access higher ground.
Is that kind of a lot? That happened a lot more back then, you think, where people were just happened to be, because you said Zemeckis was in the audience. I remember some, you know, the same thing happened with kind of Paul Reiser, where when he got Diner, there was a director that was in, the director was Barry Levinson, was in the audience. Yeah. And like, did that kind of feel like that was going on a lot, where people were discovering stand-ups back then?
You know, as far as the historical perspective questions, I would rely to my friend Dr. Schmidman. Yes, of course. In those days, you could go to a club. You never knew who would be on stage, who would come in. Look, Samuel Lachman is here. He cast the Stuvel Show. So,
right.
Yeah, you know, everything is the same, and yet everything, the dynamic changes. You know, the element is the same. People sit down, they pay money, they laugh, and they go home.
Right.
But, you know, just the little tweaks of you know, the cancel culture and that whole schmagegi.
I know, yeah, it wasn't around back then, and now it's kind of you have to make sure. I like that they're kind of making people put their cell phones away before theater gigs and theater shows. I totally agree with that. I feel like you're there to have an experience. You're not there to text or tweet or record somebody's fucking set or anything that they're working on that's new. Like I'm totally for that whole thing. Yeah. Do you have that problem now when you're going out?
What, people's cell phones?
Yeah.
I have a jammer that I travel with.
No way. Do you really?
Well, I have 2 jammers. One is electric and one is just a large guy named Larry. And if my jam is not working, Larry will go out and say, "Put your phone away. We're going to jam you up." And they go, "Okay, here you
go." I like that. I need a Larry. I don't think I can afford the electrical one, but I could probably get a Larry.
Actually, electric was cheaper than Larry. You got to pay for Larry's travel. Plus, he has to bring, you know, friends. You got to bring, he the jam, he need to bring the jelly. You know what I'm saying?
Oh I remember when Roger Rabbit came out, I think I was like 4 or 5 or something like that. And I had to like basically fight to be able to see it. Because I think it was like a discussion in my house or whether or not I was allowed to go. Because they didn't know, you know, I think everybody knew it kind of had like adult themes, but it was just cartoons. I didn't get any of it when I was younger. And then I remember watching it when I was older and I was like, holy shit. There
are some double entendres, certainly.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a classic film. I'm proud of that. You know,
when you got the script for that, was it like, did you get to improvise those lines any long, like experiment with Roger? Or were they like, these are the lines that you got? Because I know that's like part of your process too on stage.
Well, you have to remember that when you're doing it with any film, really, you have you take your shot over here, then the master, and so things have to match up. Particularly with this, because it has to one aspect of it has to then go be animated. So you can't do too much of that. But if I had an idea or something, I would present it to Zemeckis, and he would either say, try it or not. So.
Right.
But as far as just free forming, like you could do on a Judd Apatow kind of thing, you're kind of limited in that sense, just by the constraints of the technology.
Right.
You said constraints of technology. Who does he think he is? Constraints of technology. I want to break you.
That's incredible. Is that were you like involved with other aspects of the film as far as like, did you get to sit in the room with the other guys doing voices, or do they all do them separately? Did you get to play?
No, well, my voice was recorded live on the set every day.
Wow.
I was in England for 4 months doing that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I had the costume lady, Joanna Johnson, who won Academy Awards, brilliant lady. I had her make me a Roger Rabbit suit that I wore every day.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Because, my main reason was thinking, I'm born to England, and these guys say, oh, Wank is wearing the same corduroy pants you wore yesterday. So I had to do that. And then we were at Elstree Studios in Bournemouth, and I was at lunch or something, and somebody from, I think they're filming a Superman there, Superman 2, I don't know which one it was. Mm-hmm. And the guy says, I saw the guy from Roger Rabbit. He doesn't look anything like a rabbit.
That was their big concern about the whole thing.
They're doing Superman.
That's pretty good.
But it was, Bob Zemeckis he's just an extraordinary person, director. He's a really brilliant big kid, essentially. I mean, and he's got this big train set, and he gets to play with it. And, and one thing about Bob, and really, I think great directors, they will take, if someone has a good idea, they'll take it,
Yeah.
If Grip said, "Oh, we'll put it over there." Yeah, that's good. Let's do that. As opposed to you could say that to Frank Schnoodle. Are you telling? I'm Frank Schnoodle. Why, you're a Grip? You're going to tell me where I should put my camera? I'm Frank Schnoodle. Get the hell off my set, you arrhythmic little flapworm. Telling Frank Schnoodle where to put it. It was a good idea, though.
And then he comes up with it 15 minutes later. He's like, I've got an idea.
Sure. He accepted the award for it.
Yeah.
The Schnoodle Grip Award.
Did you guys know it was going to be as big as it turned out to be? Because I feel like that was a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
One never knows. However, one often gets a feeling that, wow, it was so extraordinary.
Yeah.
But, Bob Hoskins, Robert Zemeckis, Richard Williams, who was the head of the animation department, and his skill set.
Yeah.
It was just an extraordinary group of people, and I had a good feeling, and it proved to be pretty much right on. And of course, you may or may not know, I was also, I'll say in a self-aggrandizing way, I was also Benny the Cab and Two of the Weasels.
Yep. I love Benny the Cab, by the way. I wish there was more Benny the Cab and other things.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. Lou Rawls was originally the voice of that.
Really? Wow.
Wow.
There's lines in that movie that I repeated over and over again, and it was Benny the Cab and the scene where Roger goes after the baby. I think I laughed the hardest when I was a kid when he's trying to get the baby in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm. The opening cartoon?
Oh, yeah. The opening cartoon was like, I thought this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Well, I did sneak in a couple things. This will segue you into other areas. Moleads, which is my whole mathematical thing. And it's based on prime numbers, but the main Molead system is 37 and its reciprocal 27. And I threw 37 in there a couple times. One is in that opening cartoon where it's something like 37 times removed from this. And then when Benny comes in at the end, I'm in a cab for 37 years. So I snuck in some hidden Moleads.
Nice.
For all you kiddies out there, find the Moleads in the rabbit. And then, woo. The rabbit, I saw something online where somebody was saying it was almost like a Matrix kind of thing, like and the whole Moleads, and I'm a rabbit, and this, and that it was all part of this big mythological conspiracy or something. I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, and that is the thing. Were you always, because you've done a TED Talk, you've invented basically your own math. You've written a paper on.
As much as I like what you say,
I'm not wrong though, right? I mean,
he's invented his own man. He has a house he made out of cheese and small people. It's a cheese little people house. It's the fact that he has invented his own invention. I do have
I'm close though. I'm close.
I have inventions. I have a patented invention that measures golden ratio, but I'm not inventing my own math. I have, math is something that exists with or without us.
That's true. You're right. I'm going to still tell everybody you did though. So it's not in this.
Okay, well, you can say I created a new understanding. I discovered something. Yeah,
that's a much better way of putting it.
Perspective, which to see a certain thing, a dynamic which can allocate and introduce to educate.
Love it. What I was going to say was this something that you were interested in before you started doing stand-up? Did you always have a mind for math?
Yeah, I've always liked it, but it wasn't until I got a calculator that I was really set free.
Wow.
Because it was laborious, 5, I got 6, carry the 4, carry the 5. I'm so tired of carrying odd numbers, carry something even for a while. Then you divide that and they take the thing plus that. But with a calculator, you just go put up a time, 1 divided by 37, boom. 1 to them, you just put it down and boom. And the answer's there. The answer's always been there.
Yeah.
Locked in. It's magical. It's a whole realm. Letters are amazing. There's 26 of them, and you can create words. And they make up new ones for the names of drugs. Alcrata, don't take Spadadwa if you're allergic to Spadadwa. How can I be? I don't even know what Spadadwa is. How can I be allergic to it?
Right.
You can make up any number. 1, 8, 20, 5, 4, and that number exists. It's there. And plus 1 will be plus 1, and maybe plus 3 will be a prime number. So it's a whole realm that I think allows one to perceive a construct on which certain aspects of universal dynamical based.
Yeah. Math might as well be like wizard magic to me. Like, I don't understand how, I really don't. Like, it is like magic. It's like me watching Harry Potter. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, how'd they do that? Like, I don't understand it. What'd you say? Yeah, special effects, exactly.
Well, mathematics, but look at some of my Moley stuff. See, what I try to do is take stuff that's mathematical or constructual or empirically difficult to understand and make it visual.
Yes, that's what.
The dynamic is continuously perceived by those who are not able to perceive it without some sort of visual aid. A certain remedy for a malady which is yet to be proclaimed.
Now that's the thing. I was always good with geometry and those kind of things because they applied shapes, stuff like that. Anything else, you throw numbers and letters together, I don't understand it.
Yeah, I was the same way. Algebra, geometry, I did well in geometry. But then the calculator set me free.
So it's something that clicked when you got the calculator.
Well, that's when I really began to do explorations. That's when I first discovered Moleads. The calculator, otherwise it'd be just sitting around.
So explain what Moleads are for everybody too, because I feel like that's a particular thing that people don't talk about a lot.
Well, it is a mathematical system that I discovered. Basically, it allows me to see the symmetry that any prime number generates.
Wow.
But you can take it on lots of different levels. It creates this symmetrical system. And my hypothesis is that this could lead to understanding some basic construct on which everything is based. You have molecules, and you got atoms, you got electrons, protons, then quarks. I mean, is there a limit to the reduction of things getting smaller and smaller? Is there a point where there's just something we will be used to build up? I don't know. But I would think that if there is, it would be something mathematical. Right. And the dynamic symmetry that Moleads projects fits right into it. If not, it's nice to look at the pictures.
It is. Are you one of those? Do you subscribe to the idea that math can basically solve everything, except that we just haven't gotten to the point where we know all the math there is to know at this point?
No, I don't. Math is it can't solve. We have to solve it. Math can perhaps allow us to solve some part of it or to understand a certain dynamic. and those things are kind of are locked into the construct of numbers themselves. But it's up for the humans and the lucky worms
Right.
to figure it out.
Do you subscribe to the theory right now that we're like basically, because there's a lot of talk about living in a simulation, and even if we are, like, I feel like, well, then what difference does it make if we are, because we still have to live these lives regardless. You know what I mean? Like, if they find out that we are, what is it going to do?
Sorry. What did you say?
Let me just get that
a lot of people think it's that, and you could say in some ways it is. I mean, if you start delving into the reality of what this is, I mean, it's DNA. It's the cells, and there's mitochondrial DNA,
right,
which is in the nucleus of every cell, and that only not in the nucleus. It's in the ribosome. But that is only passed on by women. Sometimes they call it Eve DNA, and it's 37, by the way, 37 chromosomes in mitochondrial DNA. But things smaller, right? You look at your hand, it's that one, and there's cells in the atoms, and you can't see them. But when you see a plane vanishing in the horizon, it gets smaller, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they're smaller, but it's just that they're very far away.
Oh,
you know
I like that. Yeah.
Like my hand is there, but those things are so small because they're far away. It's hard to grab on that. Like, hey, how could it be far away if my hand is right here? How could it be far away? Hey, come on, science fiction. If you tell somebody, how'd you get here? Well, your daddy put some goo from his pee hole in your mama's pee hole, and then you grow from that. Say, get the fuck out of here. Come on, tell me the truth. Goo in the pee hole. That's such bullshit. You think I'm fucking stupid? Tell me how it works. It's goo in the pee hole.
Did you
living your life? Well, the sun shines down, and the plants. So they take that file and they switch it to another file format, like JPEG to GIF or something like that, right? And then that file format, you can eat that, or another creature like an animal could eat that and change it to another file format. But you're basically just eating sun. We're sun eaters, born from goo.
Yeah. Did you see that new thing that they came out with? That they basically invented a device that can help sperm get to the egg. It's like a little robot. It's like basically Uber for sperm. Like it goes in
something like that, but I don't think it's too romantic.
No, it's
what's that thing, honey? Hey, it's my sperm robot. Just relax. Just turn it up a little higher, will you? Because it's annoying. It vibrates slow or fast, but
yeah, it's so crazy to me. But I love it. They showed this little video where they were like, see this? And it's like this little robot like picking up a sperm, and like how fucking lazy like do we have to?
Well, I think it's kind of self-defeating, the whole concept. The whole idea is that, like, the strongest sperm gonna get there. Like, I'll show you bitches, man. I'll swim my ass up there. Go, bam, I'm in the egg.
Well, that's crazy. They used to actually, there's another thing that just came out recently. They used to think that it was it was basically that. It was whatever sperm made it. But apparently the egg sends out like some kind of signal and calls one. It's so weird, dude. I don't know. They're coming out with a bunch of like basically there's some kind of a thing that the egg emits, and one of the sperm hears it and then
post, and then the sperm has to like it, and then if the sperm likes the post, then they do like a TikTok dance. And then if that gets more than 1,000 views, the egg will say, come on in, bitch, because I'm feeling like a fertilization. TikTok my slibby ragawa.
This is great. I liked if this is how you explain math to people who don't get it, I'm on board. I'm taking your class. I don't know what it is.
I'm ready. I want to elevate, educate, simulate.
So what made you write? You wrote a paper on gamma radiation.
Gamma ray bursts.
Gamma ray bursts. Sorry, gamma ray.
Gamma radiation is just that's what got to the Hulk.
I know, and that's why I said it, because that's all I know.
I knew you had a hulking. Well, gamma rays, it's all electromagnetic radiation, right? You got visible light, and then it goes faster, and you get X-rays, and then you get gamma rays. That's the highest form of electromagnetic vibration.
Right.
And I was doing watercolor paintings at this time, and I was at that time, I should say, and I was just looking for ideas to have different palettes, different combinations, different spectrums to use as my palette to create. And I was like Googling spectrum or something, and all of a sudden this thing came up, and it was a gamma ray burst, and I started looking. I said, "What the fuck is this? This is nuts." It's the biggest explosion of energy that people know of in the universe.
Right.
It lasts very short, or maybe under 2 minutes. There's over 100 different theories as to what they are. None of them are consistent. None of them apply to all of the various kinds of gamma ray bursts that have happened. And the first thing I thought, wow, this is God TV. That was my first instinct. Oh, this is God TV. And then it just seemed like, this isn't random. This is like, there's something going on. It seemed to me like it was a method of communicating.
Wow.
That's still hypothetical.
No, but that's interesting too, because I think they just discovered, I keep on saying just, by the way, but I really did read this stuff within the last few weeks out of the blue. I don't know why. But basically they had, see, there you go. They just figured out that there's definitely, they identified gamma bursts or whatever coming from a certain point in space that's far away. They didn't know if it was actually gamma. But now
gamma ray burst, you mean?
Gamma ray burst. Yeah. They didn't know if it was actually what it was and kind of where it was coming from or why, but yeah, they realized those signals that they were getting or whatever it is exactly that. And they don't know why, and they don't know what caused it. So your communication thing may be, spot on.
Sent up these, the Vela satellites in the late 60s, because we thought Russia was testing atomic weapons on the moon. So we wanted to have these satellites with these little scintillating wafers that would be able to detect gamma ray radiation. And then all of a sudden they see them coming from outer space. What the fuck is this? This is not from the moon. And then they determined after a while they weren't even coming from our galaxy.
Right.
So, as to what they are, I think I have definitive proof that they're not random. As far as saying that it is a communication from highly intelligent beings, I can't prove that, certainly.
Right.
But, it's either that or it's just some unknown thing. It's, when a space worm farts, it creates these dynamics, which are light gamma ray bursts.
Right. With our luck, it would just be something that simple. Like, it wouldn't be anybody trying to contact us. It would just be some other being passing gas. And we're like, cool.
And that indeed would be a way of communicating, would it not?
It would be. You're absolutely right.
And that's the whole essence of humanity and intelligent life, it seems, is to show off in a way. We sent out these little satellites with and rockets with images of Earth and, to communicate. We sent out, look for radio signals, and radio signals, the low end of the spectrum. Right. It's like a skateboard compared to a gamma ray burst, which is, that's like a Lexus.
Yeah. That's incredible. So, and all this came from, I was going to ask you originally, so what made you you got this paper published, but you had to get it passed through a scientist, right? Or you had to get it backed up by that. What was that process like?
Well, to be on the archive site, which is part of Cornell University, you can't just publish it yourself. It has to be approved or sponsored by a scientist in the field, which would be astrophysics. So I contacted this scientist, and I sent him my paper, and he said, well, you're taking three-dimensional data and you're looking at it in 2 dimensions. So you need to incorporate probability distribution function. Okay. So I said, PDF. Yeah, I knew that. I was saying that all along. I wake up and go, I know I'm missing something. Probability distribution function. Why the fuck did I think about this morning? I was too busy trying to find a pair of sneakers that I lost in the river. So then I had to rewrite my paper incorporating that. And, but there have been instances, for instance, the structure of DNA that was done by X-ray diffraction. And that's 2-dimensional and DNA is 3-dimensional. So it's, the possibility of that jump is not by any means too far to stretch the imagination.
Right.
So
Is there anything you're working on currently now, like as far as like another paper or kind of elaborating on
I'm
that?
still working on that. I have another person who's helping me do using the computer. All my stuff I did just basically by hand
Mhm.
and using a protractor and a ruler, and
Wow.
just because I would just link 8 bursts and see what the angles were. So
Mm.
now I have someone that's helping me to do that, and I found new things doing that. So I can just like do this, do that, and then through the program, it's actually using a program called Python,
Oh, that's cool.
which
I like. Go ahead.
pass it through a
Yeah,
peer
it's-
review system now?
Oh,
Is that what
Tom,
it's
Tom, you're really low. You're
Oh,
you're.
sorry.
you're really low.
I apologize. I was just asking.
Stay low, dude.
I appreciate it. So,
low.
is it passing through a peer-reviewed system now? So is that what's happening? Like once it's submitted, does it go through like a peer review process?
No, once the peer review is essentially before it can be put on the site.
Okay.
But
Gotcha.
basically, no one is going to find me a credible source. I mean, there have been great scientists who met with all kind of resistance, and they were, accepted scientists. So, I called Richard Feynman once. Feynman.
Okay.
And when I first had Molich and said this and that, and well, what's your background? Well, I'm a comedian. And click and say, you played the bongos. Dude. You played the bongos. Nah.
I never even
but
thought of that. They must have given you some looks when you told them you were a comic doing all this stuff.
It's it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
People don't want to admit that something is valid if it pretty much it's confirmation bias.
Right.
Their whole life is spent proving there are no white dogs. And then you say, I got a picture of a white dog. I got 10 of them. That's false. Get the fuck out of here. Get that white dog bastard out of my office. White dog, fuck, they know white dogs. I spent 40 years proving they know white dogs. And that little schmuck comes in with a white dog shot and I'm history. Fuck that.
We had a question from a good friend of the show. His name is Dan Pasternak. He wanted me to ask you about playing the head in a sketch he did with Pryor on the Richard Pryor show. But it was a the short-lived series. He wanted me to ask you about what that was like.
That was fantastic. Richard Pryor was one of my heroes. I once painted a pair. He saw me at the Comedy Store, and I had some shoes on that I had painted, and he said, paint me some shoes. And he gave me some white boots to paint, and I painted them. And I went up to his house and had dinner with him. And
wow!
And then he had a show, and I played a pet head. So in his dressing room, I'm in a cage, and then somebody comes in, and he has to cover it up. So what happened in the sketch, which wasn't supposed to happen, when he pulls the cover off the cage comes off, which wasn't supposed to happen. So I just went with it, put that cage back. Don't ever take my cage off again. And we just made it work. But, working with Richard Pryor, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
He was the best comedian I think I ever saw live. Just the passion and the theatrics and the honesty of his comedy.
Yeah, a lot of like everybody like still always ranks him as like the best comic that they've ever seen, and most of the comics that we've had on the show always talk about him at the store and watching his process, where like he would literally go and bomb while he was working on material, like go to the store to bomb, and then by the time he was time for doing his special, it was flawless. Did you have that experience?
I never saw him bomb.
Okay.
However, he'd go up there, and Paul Mooney, rest in peace, would be in the back, making notes and things to help Richard. And it was just amazing. Chappelle is on that level.
Absolutely. His last special was amazing. The one that he just did. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah,
yet,
I just started. I've seen like halfway through it.
Oh, so fucking good.
If anything differentiates Chappelle and Pryor, well, just the time they emerged. And I think Chappelle is maybe more grounded in a certain sense of domestic purity, if I could use that term, as
Sure.
opposed to Richard. I think he was raised in a house of
Brothel.
cute and
Yep.
just and Pryor also had the characters he did, but Chappelle does characters too, but they're both extraordinary artists.
Right. Yeah. Pryor had almost like a kind of timidness to him on stage. You know what I mean? Where if you look at like especially compared to like Eddie Murphy, where Eddie Murphy was on stage, he had a gruff, kind of tough, kind of you know what I mean, like exterior. Where I feel like
I know
Pryor
exactly
was
what you mean. Pryor was not afraid to expose the innocence of
That's
which
it.
he may not had, but he exposed that and exposed a certain sensitivity that speaks to humanity and that what it's like to be a human.
Yeah.
And the issues are really deep.
Right.
He was Richard Pryor.
Yeah. And you got to
Thanks
work
to Dan
with
Pasternak for that question.
Yeah.
I have a question to you
Thanks,
from
Dan.
Isaac Schneil, who's asked me to ask you this question. He said, when you're shaving your beard in that wacky doodle configuration, do you ever think of just lopping that fucker off? You don't have to answer. I'm putting that away. No more calls from whoever that was.
I'm not
I apologize, John. You
No,
don't
it's
have
fine.
the filter anymore.
I'm hoping to just grow it all out to the point where with the black t-shirt, it's just a floating head. That's all you see.
I appreciate that. Transitioning from my single head in a cage.
Yes, exactly. There we go. It all comes full circle. You got to also work with another hero of mine, Rodney Dangerfield. When-
I tell you, I was in Tahoe, I was working up there. I get a call from Rodney. Hey, Charlie, I'm doing a little movie. I want to come by the apartment. Rodney, thanks. So I get, and any Rodney stories, like how he wore a robe, just a robe, and his balls were hanging out.
Yeah.
I go to his apartment. Joan is there, his beautiful wife, private elevator.
Right.
He's there in a robe, and here's a script, His balls are just hanging out. Maybe he wanted tea. I don't know why. I wanted to have tea.
Oh my God. That was
The fourth tenor.
right. It was
Harry
good.
Basil directed that, I believe.
Yeah. I liked it. That was a great movie. And there was a lot of you in it. It was you, Dom Irera,
Yeah.
a bunch of other comics. He was always really nice to younger comics, is what
That's
I've
a
been told.
really good point. A lot of guys do not, bring people on board.
Right.
But Rodney, he was secure enough where he just, bring him in. Like Andrew Dice.
Yeah.
Rodney brought, got him going.
Yep. Yeah.
God bless him. And he loved weed too.
Yes. Yeah.
And you can say this now because it's legal, but I think
Right.
when he had his heart attack at theater or something, he was like having a hit in the back and where he's weight, Hey, it's just weed. What's the matter with you?
Right.
It is, Ronnie. It's kush. Look at the trichomes on that fucker.
Do you remember what your transition was from that to like dramatic acting? Because I think the first time I saw you do anything that definitely creeped me out was when you were in Zodiac and you played I think they actually, by the end of it, it was either between you and another character that was the Zodiac. But
I was a red herring.
Yeah.
I didn't really do it.
You didn't really do it.
That
Right?
was just, there's another blessed event, David Fincher.
Mhm.
What an amazing director he is. And he would do lots of takes. This I didn't know when I started.
Mhm.
And the first night was my scene where I picked Jake Gyllenhaal, who I knew little kid. He went to school with my kids.
Oh,
and
wow.
in a car. And it's like take 27. And I'm thinking to myself, the fuck, man, maybe I'm the wrong business or something. 27. And then afterwards, Jake said, like, welcome to the club. And then I found out he does lots of takes.
Wow.
There was one take with Jake that's over 100 takes. But once I knew that, it was like, great, I'll do 5. I don't care. It's like fun. It's
Right.
let's go, whatever. Once I knew that, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And just such an eye. There was one scene where there was a house in the background that was red and the sun was a little bright and he just didn't want it to be that bright, the house.
Right.
So he just waited a few minutes so the luminescence of the house would diminish.
Right.
What an eye, what a man.
That's incredible.
I worked with Zemeckis, David Fincher, Wes Craven.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was gonna That's do you I feel like you're really like those roles that you played, you always scare the shit out of people, freak me out a bunch of times when you've done that kind of stuff. Do you enjoy it? Is that something you enjoy better than like maybe some of the more comedic?
I enjoy whatever opportunity I get to drive into a studio and park my car and put on a suit.
Oh, okay.
But I love both, because
Right.
of my training at Goodman Theater. And the better I became at doing what one might call serious actual dramatic acting, that enhanced my, comedic and vice versa. I think all the things that I do, some people might find it a diverse arrangement of things, are all co-enhancing. It's if I'm a better artist, then that will make my comedy better, and if my comedy's better, my acting will be better, and it'll all relate. It's all
Right.
I feel like we've done about 80 shows, and I think
Yeah.
you're the most
Versatile?
and not only that, I feel like you're the true Renaissance man, because I feel like you're not only an actor or a comedian, or you in science, in music, in art. You have this incredible website that features a lot of your art, and we were just discussing that earlier, so I wanted to make sure we touch on that because I know we're going long, so I want to get into that a little bit.
Let's touch on that. Where are we at? How much time do we have left?
We have another 20 minutes, I think,
Oh,
right?
Yeah, we better get to it because that's a 30-minute talk.
Yeah.
I have an idea. We'll talk really fast. Everything is usually double fast. And you talk at the same time as me. If we breathe in and breathe out at the same time, I know we can do it. Why, I once saw a man in Minnesota who talked 20 times faster than anybody else. No one could understand him, but he knew exactly what he was saying. This will work, I swear it. You've got to trust me on this one, fellas. Call Maluda. Get that house ready in Missoula. I've got oil that won't spoil. I've got text that won't be contextual. Why, this is going to fly, and my name isn't Herbert Craig.
Oh, holy shit. That was great.
Holy shit.
I'm like crying.
He's speaking of Pope poop.
Oh my God.
Is the Pope poop holy shit?
Jesus Christ.
Or just the place to make it fit? The Vatican is fit again, but not for him to shit again. Pope poop, Pope poop. Make it a song and you won't go wrong. Cheer up, fellas. If the press me to see my house all ambiguous.
Well, I want to get into your art stuff, but I also know you're a musician too, and I heard that you perform with Blues Traveler, which I've gone to see live several times. So that blows me away. When did you start doing that? Was that just a random like one-time thing, or?
Well, John Popper, I met him. He first thing he said to me was he was a thing that I did on Welcome Back, Kotter, where I was Calvelli, and I did this talent show thing as a Peanut Butter and Jelly, a song that I wrote.
Right.
And he recited it for me. And he knew I played harp because I played harp in that show. And he brought me on stage and I got to jam with him.
Wow. That's cool. That's incredible.
I also, since you're talking about music, I invented a 13-string guitar.
Really? Holy shit.
It's there's a 6-string and 12-string, which is just that double.
Right.
But this, the 13-string, it incorporates the 5 notes that are on a regular 6-string guitar, plus the missing 7, so that the chromatic scale appears in 5ths or 4ths, depending which way. It's consistent all the way across. It's more of an orchestral guitar, but I divulged because it came up.
Right.
What is this website you're talking about? What's the address? I mean, you're saying that this guy Fleischer has a website where people can go there and see his art, and then if they wanted to, buy one for their grandma or something, they could just do it and they'd send it to them? Oh,
you got some pieces you can show us, right?
I do. I have some things here. Well, okay. I do. Let's see. There's one.
Beautiful. Zappa.
This is called Zappa's Zircon Zipper. I knew Frank too. I had the pleasure of meeting with him, and at one point he was thinking of having me open for him.
Wow.
I met his manager, Herbie Cohen. I know his kids too. This one here, this is the Museum of Self-Reflection.
Love it. That's beautiful.
Every painting in the museum is of the museum. Took over 3 years.
Oh my god.
And, I have 83 different pieces on my site.
Yep.
And this is called Jelly on a White Violin. And my title.
How do you come up with the names? Because they're all the titles are amazing, and I know that they're well,
it was
personal to
important
you.
for me to have the titles be little poems or little art pieces in themselves.
Mhm.
You know, a still life with Apple. I can see that. I don't need that to be the title. You know, tell me something new.
Right.
So conceptually, and Salvador Dali certainly did this to an extent, or Robert Williams, the guy who did Guns N' Roses covers and really cool surreal stuff, would have really long, abstract, surreal titles. And I just wanted the titles to conjure something up in the person's head that then would automatically relate to the picture through a bridge that's within them, through their own internal synapse.
Right. And
The
it makes
synapse of non-conformal association.
right.
The name for one. The future of $5.64 pieces.
That's awesome that it works in layers like that, because even when somebody else sees the title, for them it means something completely different, as well as the piece of art itself. So it's just constant interpretation.
Yeah, you said that kind of nicely, man. I'd like to just take that for a minute, man, and let it kind of like soak into me, just like a meta bombing fortress of solitude. Yeah, it's charles-fleischer.com.
Nice. We'll definitely direct everybody towards that.
Yeah,
You will. That's cool, man. I like that. You know?
Absolutely.
They
I'll
don't
plug
have
it.
to buy anything. They can just look and enjoy it. You know, it's like commerce is important, but it's nice that people want your stuff.
Yes.
I used to only sell my art after my stand-up shows,
Mhm.
and I like that because people would, you know, there's just a piece that they would see and they would want it, and I had that happen. You know, when you know you just see something and it clicks, you relate to it. It fires something within you that you understand it and you want to, you know, have it. The art is pretty magical in itself. Just, you know, these images, and you relate to them and you want to look at them and see them in your house or in your friend's house or in your
Absolutely
friend's garbage.
I did. I did an art show recently because I was telling you I draw cartoons or whatever last time we were talking over the phone, but it was kind of my first ever like exhibit that I did. I was stunned that people even gave a shit, because to me, you know what I mean? Like everybody else had these like pieces where like a guy would take pieces of a car, you know, and like weld them and mold them into a thing. And people kept coming over to these little line drawings, you know what I mean? Like the color sketches. And it just kind of blew me away, because I didn't I always think they're just, you know, cartoons, you know what I mean? But it still interests people.
Well, yeah, if that connection takes place. And also, I think if people know you and know of your work, that's another aspect of the connection. Like, you know who did that? That guy did that. You know, that's like, it's worth more than just some piece of art that, you know, Huli Manuli did. You know, I don't know Huli Manuli. I don't even like the art that much, but Huli Manuli, his sister used to babysit Frank. A guy named Frank, and he used to draw pictures with his tail.
So how do you, and this, how do you manage your time between each facet of your own artistic, like, you know, personality, interpretation, like, because is it when you have downtime you switch between, or do you literally go like, okay, now I'm going to draw and I need to paint, I need to do that?
I don't really believe in downtime.
Okay.
But it is kind of seasonal. And you know, like crop rotation. You know, you plant corn for 2 seasons, and then you switch a crop because the corn has kind of dissipated the calcium or whatever corn likes to suck up.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jimmy, find out what corn likes to suck up. That couldn't be right. Just water? All right. Just put some water on the fucking plants and let them grow.
God, I would love to be your neighbor.
You are my neighbor. We live in the same fucking planet.
We're in the same galaxy, Lanky. Have you seen the size of the universe, lad? Do you know how vast it is? There's planets beyond degree. Even the final force. Watchers in the northern sky. Neatius, Octu to Maria. Wooka. That was good for my friends in the Vavonian range. It's cyclic. And like right now, I'm working on. I'm really focused on writing. I have a book of short stories that I'm moving towards the end of finishing it.
Nice.
So every day when I wake up, I hit that,
Mm.
and I'll do that until that's finished, and then I don't know what will come next. You know,
Nice.
It's just I just follow the flow. I try not to interfere with myself.
Yeah.
If you trust yourself, then you allow your being to completely understand. There are so many kinds of people in the world, they component. There are stupid people that think they are smart. There are smart people that think they are stupid. There are people that don't think at all, which is neither stupid nor smart because I don't think about it.
Oh my God.
I'm not a god, but I know him.
We have to wrap up soon, but I've got to ask you 2 questions that we ask every guest that's on the show. Okay.
I'll take it.
Thank you. So, first question, if you could go back in time and speak to your younger self and give yourself a piece of advice that would help you today, what would it be?
I had a dream like that.
Ooh.
When I spoke, I would tell my younger self not to believe me when I come back from the future.
That's smart. I love that.
Is there a part 2 or should I?
No,
go
yeah,
with
there's
it?
another. No, there's no part 2 to that. There's another question. We're gonna.
Oh, I love questions,
perfect
especially
answer.
ones that have the right configuration.
Okay. I think you'll like this one. We'll see. So, I have to ask you, what in your life had to end, be it good or bad, to have you wind up where you are today?
Whoa.
Mm.
Well, what had to end? Well, end is an interesting concept. I would say resolve, maybe. There's something, the beginning of the end is the end of the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I like that a lot.
what had to end was yesterday.
Oh, shit. Wow. Fuck. That's a great answer.
Dude, you know, you asked me to be on a fucking podcast. I'm not going to come on with an empty fucking mind. I'm dealing with intellectual people on the other side of the developing oceans.
Wow. I think that was the 2 best responses we've had and the 2 quickest. That was like incredible.
Thank you.
Well,
bro.
we got more time. What
Go. Do you have
I
more
actually want to
questions?
know.
If not,
Yeah.
I will send you something mentally telepathetically. Mental apathetics. Athletically telepathetic. 9. All right, I'll take you next.
Yeah,
No
go
worries.
for it.
I want to know what, out of all of your interests, what feeds your soul the most?
Love.
Oh,
Indeed.
Yes,
But which of those interests do you love the most? Like,
yeah. Which
the
of your?
entertaining
It's like
or
asking which
the-
of his children he
Whatever
loves the
I'm
most.
doing.
Choose one.
whatever I'm
Yeah.
doing at that moment.
Mm.
Because
Oh,
gotcha.
they all, they're all in the same soil, so to speak.
Yeah,
They
they're
all
all
receive
you.
the same sunlight. So whatever gives me that at one moment, where if I could be drawing or writing or painting or just walking around the block thinking about stuff or trying to figure out something mathematical, it's the same process. It's like if you have a bicycle wheel, the spokes are radiating outward in apparently different directions, but they all end in the circumference.
Ooh.
See what I'm saying?
Yep.
So you may think that's not related to that. And now what the fuck's going over there? Ain't the same. But hey, hold on. Did you hear what he said? A whale, every point in the circumference is equidistant from the center. That's pi, 3.14. That shit is crazy.
Wow.
Diameter times this times that. Those motherfuckers back then, they had some chops.
This has reminded me. I got to ask you this before you go too, because I feel like when I was a kid, I saw you and Robin Williams at the Oscars, and I think it was when Roger Rabbit was probably up for an award, right?
That is correct. We
Yeah.
presented an award to Richard Williams. That's a
Yes.
YouTube situation.
That's it. Yeah. Is that was it hard for you guys not to, because you're on stage, you're live, and I feel like you're two people probably that could have played for hours. Did you guys like like have a hard time like cutting it short?
No, we kind of worked on stuff at the Improv the week before,
Nice.
and then they have a monitor that has the stuff on it that you've written down.
Sure.
It went out.
Oh wow.
Which was fine,
Yeah.
But it was generally mapped out. There was a couple
Okay.
moments where it skewed. If you're really watching it, you can kind of like, hey, Robin, what? If I get a laugh, doesn't matter. But that was, working with Robin was amazing too.
Yeah. Was that like your crew basically? Like you guys got like the because it seems like you're part of, like I said, like basically like the fringe of those comics. You know what I mean? Like Richard Pryor, you got to work with Robin Williams, you got to work with those guys. That's the kind of crew that you hung out with.
I would love to say, yeah, man, we were hanging, like I breakfast with Pryor, then I'd go running with Richard Lewis, then Belzer at the gym. Then I'd come home and, Jay Leno and I would box for a while. I'd go over to Johnny Carson's house and just clean his floors. But basically, I'm a loner. I like being. I mean, my family,
Sure.
having kids and that,
Yeah.
and I enjoy. There's a lot of friends and collaboration, but I don't mind being by myself and
Nice.
and working on my own business.
Love it. Well, dude,
John
thank you
loved it too. He was a friend too.
Oh, nice.
I forget to mention Lovett. He is in the afternoon.
He was
Lewis couldn't run in the morning. Lovett and I would go down to the Bowery and feed the bums limericks.
Oh my God. Well, dude, we have to wrap up. Unfortunately, I could keep you forever, but thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
Let me say thank you to you and you both because you're spontaneous and your questions are, because I'm sure you've seen many people that are not equipped to do this kind of thing, especially with someone that is a bit, and I call myself with reverence, not like a.
Right.
It's the same noise, but it's all in the enunciation of the particle because it could be, could evaporate.
Oh man. Well, thank you. Seriously, that means a lot coming from me, man. And I hope we get to keep in touch. I hope you come back on again with us.
Well, let's see. Okay.
Great.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, man. Peace.
Thank you.
Dystopia Tonight.